I want to talk a little bit about incivility at work. And to begin, incivility can manifest in a number of ways. It's basically people being rude at work, and that can be your coworkers being rude to you, your boss, customers being rude to you. It could be unfair behavior, like you do something wrong and you get in trouble, but your coworker does almost the same thing wrong, but the boss likes them better, so they don't get in as much trouble. So just kind of making you feel like you're not being treated fairly. It can be things like sarcasm, hostile comments, passive aggression, like subtle harassment. So there are obviously some things we'll talk about that rise to a level of like really explicit harassment, someone calling you a racial epithet or a sexist comment. But there are a lot of things that don't quite rise to that level that are still incivil. So, they're more of the sort of gray area things where like, wow, that made me feel uncomfortable and I don't really like that, but I don't know if I've got a claim against someone. But all of that incivility together takes its toll on you as a worker and on the people around you if you're being the person who's incivil. But there are a lot of statistics out there that show just how detrimental incivility is in the workplace. So people will decrease their work effort just thinking like, well, if I'm going to be treated this way, like I'm not going to work as hard as I possibly could, or I'm not going to show up to work as often as I have to, or, I'm stressed out about this and that's impacting my performance, or, how I can focus on something. I remember an incident when I was working as a copier salesperson, and this actually happened kind of outside of my workplace, but I was having to go door to door and do sales. And this one lady, and I'll never forget, I've got to name her because her name was Merry Christmas. And she was the rudest person that I've ever met. And it just seemed like a double whammy for someone named Merry Christmas, who you would think would be like rosy cheeked and jolly and kind of like, Santa's wife or something, to be so mean to me. She literally actually touched me, like held me by the wrist and marched me out of the building and like pointed at a sign that was like, no soliciting. And I was like, whoa, I'm 21 years old and this is my first job and I'm kind of required to solicit or I will get fired. So maybe I was in the wrong for having been there, but I just felt like the way she handled it was so rude. And I spent the rest of the day crying in my car. So like I lost work time due to incivility. And, maybe you could say, again, that's not really my workplace's problem. But it still was in that, like, I wasn't really trained to handle it, or, maybe those expectations were too harsh or something like that. So just some stuff like that. But as you can see, lots of statistics of why a company is impacted by incivility. And so therefore they have a responsibility to take it on. And of course, you as an employee have a responsibility to not be incivil to other people.